Good evening, everyone. Greetings from the Institute of Global Bangladesh. Greetings from the Institute of Global Professionals IGP Bangladesh. Thank you all for joining us and staying with us till the end. Honorable knowledge speakers, today I am your host for the. My name is Oritra Roshak and I am from Bangladesh. Dear IGP knowledge seekers, I am proud to be associated with IGP as a global member. IGP is a social and ISO certified international trade. In 3 years, we already served 3 million knowledge seekers from 100 plus countries. IGP is internationally recognized and globally accredited. We are connected to more than 250 plus professionals at 4,500 plus organizations. Institute of Global Professionals IGP is the training faculty for skill development which was founded in 2020 is generating competent candidates to meet demand in the global labor market by providing professionals qualifications. The Institute of Global Professionals is an educational institute that work globally recognized and reputable. We serve students and community resource providing holistic social work and education. We believe that it's not effective to increase one's skill just by education. So we provide effective training and consulting to generate proficient generation all over the world. We distribute our service locally and internationally to job seekers, job holders, and also for learners, though respective campus location and distance learning platform. We are an occupational and dependable institution. IGP is one of the most famous online institutes from all over the world. Our vision is a business product, it's a part of our human rights. Based on our vision, we are trying to reach all corners of the world for free webinars, seminars, courses, awards, quiz competition, counseling, etc. On the other side, we also trying to serve more than 100 premium service for free, like create own portfolio, website, resume builder, cover letter, motivation, letter and one platform free gathering general knowledge which can update all day. Kids learning games, websites, free courses, converse sites, and many, many more. We help to empower youth to learn to meet their expectations and dreams and becomes highly skilled people. We implement several training programs, webinars, and offline online courses for learners by professionals, trainers, speakers, and coaches. Our sessions are conducted by global renowned professionals to minds of youth and to promote the education of their abilities and personalities. To ensure and India instruction, we arranged with qualified trainers, speakers, and instructors. We extended free service to more than 3 million knowledge seekers. In last 3 years, we have affiliations with universities and organizations in 70 different countries. Virtual mouse signing with many colleges and organizations have been accomplished. We are working to create a legendary generation of future scholars and citizens who we are constantly prepared to assist all knowledge seekers from with valuable service. Spreading knowledge is crucial for the Institute of Global Professionals. Knowledge is love, light, and vision. We are trying to understand the needs of today's generation and will serve them good research and practice method. We must have genuine concern for the learners. We represent more diversity, growth, and innovation are required to lead a session with professionalism, passion, and members are committed to offering effective, best quality service and continual improvement so that individual who seeks information can improve their skill levels and values. Before we move to the next, don't forget to share, tag, and mention your friend in the comment box. Your support is very valuable to us. Thank you. Before we move to the next, let me remind don't forget to share, tag, and mention your friends. Your support is very valuable to us. Thank you. Moving to the next with your continuous support, we already completed 1,301 webinars successfully. Wow. Moving to the next with your continuous support, we already completed 1,301 webinars successfully. Wow. At present, we are going to start our 1,302 program. Name is Writing Your Article for Journal Publication, and our speaker name is Sir Dr. Shobhik Ganguly. Before I hand over the stage to Sir, want to share a little bit about our speaker. He is an assistant professor, Department of Electric and Engineering, Thapar Institute of Engineering and Technology. Now, very important moment for me to invite our speaker to IGP presentation. Now, very important moment for me to invite our speaker to IGP with his presentation. Hello, sir.
Hello, good evening, Aritro. How are you?
Good evening, sir. How are you?
Uh, yeah, I'm absolutely fine. And you can share my presentation so that we can start.
Yes, sir. Of course. Sir, now the
Arit,
stage is yours. Please, you can start your presentation.
yeah, another thing, get me one thing. There is some connection issue. I was not getting your voice and video simultaneously. So, is it happening to me as well? Are you
Yes, sir.
getting the same,
Yes, sir. Some connecting
some
issue is
lag?
that.
Some lag, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Some connection issue for.
Okay, okay, fine. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir, now the stage is yours. You can start your presentation.
Okay, fine.
Thank
So,
you.
good evening, good afternoon, good morning to all the participants, those who are listening to this particular webinar on writing your article for your journal publication. So, of course, we are getting into the topic and we will discuss about a few of the things that we have in store for you. First of all, let me tell you that there may be some participants who are willing to publish or who are in the process of publishing their articles in the journal. So few tips for them as well. And of course, those who are experienced, they have already gone through the different stages of publication, right from the submission stage, writing a paper, or all those things. So everything we thought that we should discuss in the process. So let me give you an outline that first of all, the most important part is choosing your topic. So whichever direction you are having, say if you are from engineering background, if you are from social sciences background, if you are from economics or business studies or something of that sort. So you need to identify and choose your research and topic of the research, as well as identify the appropriate journal for the research. So this is the first thing that we are going to discuss. After that, we will go through, once you are selecting an appropriate journal for your write-up, so of course you have to obey certain guidelines from the journal itself. So we will go through the submission guidelines next. After that, we will show you, or we will help you out, that how to write a clear and concise abstract. So that is the most important part of your paper. Of course, there are several important parts of your paper, but of course the editor or the managing editor or the handling editor or the associate editor generally goes through abstract, generally goes through your keywords and check whether it fits into the aim and scope of the journal. So that is most important way of writing your abstract, and it should be clear enough, it should be concise as well, limiting to the word restrictions of the particular submission guideline. Apart from that, how to write a well structured introduction. So how do you develop your story of your introduction? How do you go about it? How do you describe your methods? Means what is a methodology that is being adopted in this particular work of yours? If required, you can add on one section. That's just as we people in engineering stream, we do add problem formulation or problem statement. That is another way of adding it. Apart from that, we will talk about today that how to report your findings accurately. So of course, you may be having so much results. Maybe some quantitative information may be presented in the form of tables, maybe in the form of figures or something of that sort. But how to present those results, right? How do you report your findings, and how do you make it accurately, and how do you discuss your results so that it adds to the significance of your work? After that, how to write your conclusion, and of course you must leave some implications for future study, of course. And before you are submitting, you must revise your paper, you must proofread it, you must edit your manuscript as well. And finally, it's a submission stage. So of course, we will go through all these points today. So let me start from where we need to choose. So first of all, if you are a starter, if you are starting up with writing a particular article, what is the thing that you need to choose your research topic, or what you are passionate about, or how do you go about a particular research topic? So you need to study some of the important research articles in the respective field. So that we call as a literature review. So once you go through certain papers, or you survey certain literature available, or some work that has been conducted in your area, so of course you are supposed to find out some research gaps or some limitations of the present state of the art work. So of course, you'll find that you need to choose your topic based on the research objectives being, or research gaps being found, or the limitations of the study being found. So that's the best way to identify your research topic. If you are doing it independently, or you are collaborating with some of your fellow researchers or co-researchers, you are under the supervision of your guide, or whatever you have. So this is the part that needs to be discussed, that needs to be brainstormed, and you come across that particular research topic, and hopefully all of you are having some idea in your minds, some discussions. You go through some literature papers, you go need to read and read some of the research articles in your domain of research, and after that you choose your research topic based on the limitations of the present state of the art work. So after that, the next possibility comes is how to identify an appropriate journal. Nowadays, several standard journals, they have their own journal finder. You can Google it simply, find the journal finder for so and so journals. I'm not naming any particular journal. Whichever you feel that, whichever publishing house you want to select and you want to go about, you can choose an appropriate journal in your field. Of course, I'm an electrical engineer. Of course, I'll try to based on my research topic, I'll go through some journal of electrical engineering or electronics engineering, or if the work is on some computation involved, so I'll go and select some computational based journals as well. So this is how you need to work out. So choosing an appropriate journal based on the aim and scope of the work, definitely you'll find that if you are having some of your journals available, you may look at that. If you are finding multiple journals, you may check out certain things. Say for example, while choosing an appropriate journal, I have given you some guidelines by virtue of which you must identify your journals in your field. So if you are writing it for the first time, you of course you need to know certain things about journals. So whether those journals are in Web of Science or in Scopus indexing. So when you are seeing any journal homepage, you must go through certain indexing of the journal, by virtue of which you get to know that how well this journal is reputed. So identifying journal is equally important. Preferably, if you are writing your first paper, you get in touch with your colleagues, you get in touch with your supervisor. That would be the most idealistic way of choosing an appropriate journal in your field. If you are doing it, of course, you must go on your own. Of course, you must go through the different indexing of the journal. So preferred indexing are Web of Science or Scopus. Thomson and Reuters is also another important database, whether it will be SCI or SCIE paper. Of course, those indexings are also available. So you may go through the indexing before you identify the journals in your field. Apart from that, of course, I was telling you that you must go through the aim and scope of the journal. So you read the aim and scope of the journal very carefully to ensure that your research fits in within the scope of the journal. So this is equally important, because once you submit any paper and after that you'll find that it does not, you get a reply from the editorial team that it does not fit in. So of course the time and the energy that you devoted for looking at a particular research article in a particular journal completely goes waste. So of course you have to target as per the aim and scope of the journal. So this is also equally important. Now, I am an electrical engineer, say, suppose I am doing some computational work, but computational work is in the area of electrical engineering. So, of course, definitely we must identify the audience to whom I am writing this paper, this research article, or this manuscript. So while preparing your manuscript, you must also check the audience of the journal. How will I get to know that what will be the audience be like? Say, for example, you'll get it from the title itself, you get it from the aim and scope of the journal itself. That whether, say, for example, I will not publish any research article in a journal of biomedical engineering. So, of course, it's absolutely a different field. So, of course, if it's a journal on biomedical engineering, of course, if the work does not fit in, I'll not never send a paper or never send a manuscript to that particular journal. So, of course, because it will not be cited, maybe that it is a work pertaining to biomedical engineering, but if it's not cited, of course, you have to check those issues as well. So, site audience of the journal is also equally important. To whom you are targeting, for whom you are writing that research article, to whom you are writing your manuscript. So that is also equal to important. Look at the best way to identify that whether what kind of audience is there in the journal. You have to also you can double check through looking at the article types those are accepted or published in that particular journal. Say for example, if there is some journal that is considering research articles which are original in nature, some accepts review articles, some even takes into account case reports or perspectives. So different types of research articles you may look into. Say for example, you are preparing a case report, and of course that particular journal whom you are targeting is not taking submission of the case report, so it is a wastage. So of course you should not communicate to that particular journal as well. So you look at the type of the articles, it's clearly mentioned. There are two things which are clearly mentioned: it is an original research article or research article, and review article. Case reports or perspectives are very less in case of engineering studies. So of course I haven't personally gone through any particular journal who is accepting case reports or case studies or something of that sort. Mostly the social sciences or the humanities may be having submissions on the case studies and the perspectives. Mostly you get a review article or an original research article. So these are the two backdrops that you may take in the selection of the article. Consider the impact factor. So basically, every journal has a certain impact factor. If you are going through any Scopus Index journals, or if you are going through a Web of Science journals, there is an impact factor or a site score being mentioned, which measures its influence or as an indicator to the quality of the journal. So it is always important to choose that particular journal preferably. It's not that there are a few instances I'll tell you that a mathematics journal will have generally lesser impact factor as compared to any engineering or computer science journals. So of course, depending upon the audience, depending upon the citation that it gets, you create a certain term which we call as the impact factor of a journal, which is a major measure of its quality as well. So you must find that whether the journal is having impact factor. So of course, if it is having an impact factor, obviously it is reported in Thomson Reuters or Web of Science. If it's not having indexing in Web of Science, of course it can have an indexing in Scopus as well. In that case, it may have certain site score as well. And if you are having a Scopus, you can check out at scopus.com and check out the name of the journal and how much is the indexing or what is the site score. You get each and every detail regarding to which period it was under Scopus and whether it is presently lying in the Scopus at least. Now, checking the submission requirements. Of course, when you have done everything carefully, when you have chosen your appropriate journal, you have seen the impact factor. If you have taken a good Web of Science journal, you have taken a journal which is having an appreciable impact on the society or on the target audience. You have selected, you have been you have taken your target audience in your domain of work. So of course all those factors are decided. So of course you can go for the submission requirements now. So you must review the submissions of the journals carefully, and including the formatting guidelines, what count. Say for example, recently I have made a submission. Immediately I got a feedback that we should see that whether your submission submitted manuscript is having less than 8 keywords, and it should have word count of 4,500 excluding the references. It already fitted in, but I was fortunate that it already fitted in. But it could have been different cases where you follow certain guidelines. You need to go through the guidelines before making the submission. You must also check the referencing style, whether it's an APA style, whether it's an IEEE format, whether it's a Vancouver style in which we want to have the references as well. So of course, depending upon the submission to a particular journal, we have to look into the template of the journal. We need to take into account the word count or the number of pages that are required. Number of figures and tables also have some limitations in few journals. the referencing style, of course, and these are the things that you must go through before you are submitting to an appropriate journal of your choice. Apart from that, another thing that you must consider, that how much is the publication time. You can go through some of the published articles and quickly make it a point that how much faster is the publication time, because of course everything has a deadline. So your maybe if you are in your postgraduate level, if you are in your PhD work, definitely time is also important factor or important consideration before you publish your first article. So of course you must go through the publication time. There are certain popular journals in Springer or in Telerin Francis or in Elsevier, where they specify specifically, if you ask, you can get the publication time, that how much time it takes for the first decision to be made, how much time it takes for the acceptance. But it depends preferably on the article, on the number of reviews that has been conducted of the article. The time may vary, but you can get the average time or the median. Sometimes people mention the median out here also, in order to provide a good indicator of how much is the publishing time. Means how much is the time required from submission of your article to final publishing after your work gets reviewed successfully. Now, there are certain things that you must go through while you are going through the submission guidelines. So, hopefully, by this time, I have crossed the topic of identifying the appropriate journal. So, once we have chosen an appropriate journal, we must next go through the submission guidelines. That what is the manuscript uh, formatting all about, what is the structure, what is the template. You'll find normally Word template is available, LaTeX template is available, and different writing style or different referencing styles also available. So we must stick to mostly the submission guidelines that will increase your chances of acceptance of your article. So some general information, say for example, some basic information about the journal must be there. That you must know that the name of the editor or the associate editors, the name of the publishing house to which you are submitting, the aim and scope of the journal, of course, the type of article, of course, whether it's a research article or whether it's a review article, whether it's a case study or something of that sort. Apart from that, you must follow certain guidelines regarding the manuscript preparation. The preparation will be containing that detailed information about how do you format, what are the page lengths in case it is having word count, what is the word count that you need to have, what is the referencing style that we need to follow, what is the template that is available, how many figures or tables are allowed, whether you are putting any supplementary materials or you want to put it in the form of appendix, some formulations or some detailing of any description that you want to have as a supplementary material or not. You must go through the ethical considerations. So nowadays this time there are a few reputed journals who are looking for ethical approval or consent, or there is a conflict of interest or not. Say for example, if you have used any animal in your research, so of course those people who are working on the biomedical or biotechnology field may be using some animal or something of that sort. So whether they have taken care of that particular ethical approval or not. So these type of things are coming. Of course, if you are not doing research on biomedical or biotechnology, or whether any human intervention is there, or whether any animal has been involved in your research, of course you can skip those things. But of course there must be not be conflict of interest amongst your authors, amongst your collaborators or something of that sort that you have to give. Apart from that, you must check in through the submission process, that how to submit your manuscript, how to write your cover letter. Of course, at this point of time, I'll mention, and of course, it will be coming in one of my slides, how to write a cover letter, or how do I go about that. how to impress, or what are the things that we must have in our cover letter. A cover letter, writing a cover letter is a good practice in your submission process. Apart from the manuscript, you must also prepare a cover letter as well. Peer review process. So whether it's a double blinded review process, or whether it's a one sided review process, that you must understand that, and the timeline for the review process, and how authors will receive their feedback. So of course, these peer review process you must be able to understand. So these are the sort of things that you must go through in the process. Basically, dealing with whether your journal is having any publication fees or something of that sort, the guideline should, of course, you must go through the guidelines, that whether any article processing charges are there, any open access charges are associated with the publication. Preferably, unpaid journals will be preferred. But if you want to publish in open access, or you have to pay certain article processing fee, depends that whether it is being peer reviewed or not. That is also equally important. Of course, you must go through the guidelines of the copyright and the licensing policies, because this also includes some restrictions on the use of the published material anywhere. Once you have signed in the licensing, or once you have signed in the copyright issues, of course, it is the liberty of the publishing house, and not to you as well. So these are the sort of things that you must undergo, or in the process you must understand slowly and gradually. That's why I ask you that if you are preparing the first article, uh, uh, of course there will be you must go through the submission guidelines thoroughly. Coming to the part that is related to abstract. So what should be the abstract, and how should you write it, and how much words should you write it? These are some of the takeaways from writing a clear and concise abstract. So basically, it is a starting point, and the most important part that the editors and the reviewers first of all read. So it is essential to write a clear and concise abstract that summarizes your research work, your methods, your findings in a concise manner. So of course, what we understand by this concise manner, it should be the objective of the work that should be defined first. It should be the methodology that will be defined in the next sentence, and some findings will be discussed in third or fourth sentences. So it should be absolutely crisp, and it should be limited within 150 to 250 words. Come what may be the journal. Come what may be the journal. So it should not be very elaborative. It should be absolutely concise, crisp, and preferably you give, when you are giving your findings, of course you must use certain percentages or quantifying statements to have your method to be better as performing performing better as compared to the already existing literature. So before you write, you must understand the purpose of writing of abstract. So the purpose is to write a concise summary of your work, highlighting upon the key findings and highlighting upon the main points of the research. So of course, you must read through the guidelines of the journal of the conference in which you are submitting your abstract. These guidelines often provide you certain specific instructions and on what information that has to be included and how to format the abstract. So generally, there should be some key elements or key points in the abstract. So you want to include in the abstract, such as a research question or methodology, that you want to include some results or some conclusions, or you want to give a hint on of your future scope as well. So something of that sort. And of course, it should be word bound, and it should be limited between 150 to 250 words max to max. So it should be very crisp, it should be very concise, and it should contain all the information regarding the objective of your work, regarding the methodology of your work, and it should give you some of your findings and provide some important conclusions. So how to write an abstract? And of course, just as I was telling you, checking the length is equally important for different journals or conference articles that you are writing. Of course, it will be restricted between 150 to 250 words. It should not be a very elaborative abstract. Even you can choose that. Typically, the length can vary depending upon the requirements, and writing the abstract or drafting the abstract following certain key requirements. Say, for example, the language, it should be very much clear. We should avoid any technical term, we should not we should avoid any critical terms that may not be familiar, or technical terms that may not be familiar, that the readers may not be familiar with. So of course, it should be a simple way of defining your objective of work, your methodology, as well as the outcomes of your work. Right. Now, once you write any portion, of course, you may think that you have written so and so. Of course, you must, it's a good practice that you must revise or edit your abstract so that it is clear, concise, and accurately reflecting your research. So, of course, check for the grammar, spelling errors, because abstract must be well organized and easy to be read. And of course, as I told you earlier, that of course you must go through the abstract again and again, because it's the most important part that is being read by the editorial team in order to give you an idea that whether it crosses your editorial check process. So these are the things that we need to understand. And of course, you must go through the formatting of the abstract against the guidelines that has been provided in the journal or the conference template. Assure that your abstract is correctly formatted, and all the necessary information regarding the title of your work, the names of the authors, and the institution and the organization or the affiliation of the author must be clearly specified in the research being conducted. Now, coming to the introduction part, it is another important part where you need to build up the story. I call it a story because this is where your readers will get interest in your work, and they will gradually go into the other sections of your research. So, of course, you must go through the introduction of your work so that you get certain things related to getting into getting into the specific objectives of your work, and how do you narrate the limitations, how do you narrate the literature that is already available, and also the limitations of the study that must be there. So it is essential to provide an overview of your work, overview of your existing literature on the topic, mentioning the limitations of the present study, and apart from that, you must understand that how do you develop your story, or how do you develop your background to the research statement, or from where you need to highlight your significance or the novel contributions of your work, and finally outline your research objectives. So well-structured introduction should contain that you begin your story or begin your introduction with an interesting statement, or the fact that captures the reader's attention, and of course encourages you to for them to read your topic or your so that we call as the start with a hook. So how do you develop your storyline? That is absolutely up to you, that how do you feel that your research topic is relevant to your readers, how do you make it work in an interesting way so that you can have the things going on, or creates the interest or creates the attention of the readers, so that they must go farther deep into your work. So of course the background information must be there, some research topic related to your work must be there, and of course for the better understanding of the subject, you may include some previous research, some key terms or the definitions, some historical interest, some breakthrough researches that are there, and then you come across some of the research gaps and come across the research problem in such a way that the problem should be stated, that why we are doing such work or why we are addressing to write such a research article. So your problem must be defined clearly, so that layman, even if he is reading, if he or she is reading your paper, of course must understand the research problem that you are trying to state, and of course explaining the significance of the research. This is also equally important and relevant. Here you get the potential implications of your findings, the contribution of your research, which we call as the novel contributions of your research. Of course, you must give an outline of the scope and the purpose of your research. So, of course, you can include the methodology to some extent, giving some hypothesis, giving some main arguments that you will be presenting in your. And of course, the sixth point is equally important: providing a roadmap of your paper. It is a must for few writers or few researchers, those who are studying or wish to intend to write their first research article. It is best way to provide a roadmap to the entire paper. The rest of the paper is organized as follows: which section of your paper is defining which key points or which article. Say for example, your section 2 contains your problem formulation, your section 3 contains your methodology of the work. So what is the methodology about? So give in a one line statement, that so that the people who are, or the audience to whom you are writing, must get a roadmap of your paper or work. Of course, you must restrict your introduction to be a very concise as well as a focused. So it should be absolutely focused in terms of containing much detail, as well as it should not be you are writing some irrelevant topics in your instruction, because it is where your article is tested by the editorial team or the handling editor or your associate editor before it goes for further screening. So abstract and introduction should be very much crisp, concise, and absolutely to the point. That's as we are mentioning out here. Coming to the methodology section, I'd like to differ from my own slide that will go through problem statement, or some people or some researchers go for discussing the problem statement in the introduction section. I prefer to discuss it in another section which I prepare, is the problem statement or the problem formulation, where you need to develop your work, state the assumptions of your work or the simplifications that you have made. I am quoting these terms: assumptions of your work or simplifications of your work, rather than telling that what is my present limitation. So I should not specify that this work is having so and so limitations, because in that case, of course, I'll bring the fortune of the paper at stake. So of course it will not be published if you stay. That's why I'm using the term that what are the assumptions of your paper, what are the simplifications that you are doing in order to solve a particular problem. So discuss your problem. Preferably I'll call it second section of problem formulation. Then you come through your methods, so where it involves some design, some say if you are developing any algorithms, if you are developing any particular method by which you are collecting some data, you are doing some data analysis, what are the methods that you are adopting. So provide enough information for the study to be conducted. So whatever study, whatever research work in your domain that you are doing, try to highlight upon each and every step of the methods that you are going to take. So preferably, as per my choice, it should be third section. It may differ, you may beg to differ as well. You may put it in the problem statement in your introduction part, or some do literature survey or literature review as a second section of the paper. So depending upon the branch or the domain of your research, you may slightly differ, because these are some of the standards which we follow in engineering journals, but preferably you can go through a slighter deviation depending upon whether you are working in the humanities department or you are serving any social science or something of that sort. So basically it's the clear cut description of your research problem or research statement. So following the steps of your research objectives, how we can develop a detailed description of your research design. So different types you may have chosen, you may have followed certain methodology, some sampling techniques you have used. What about the sampling size that you have taken? What about the data collection methods that you have gone through? Generally, I prefer to go through methodology section with some development of new algorithms. So of course, when I'm going for new algorithms, so how is it different from the existing techniques? How if there is a hybridization of two algorithms, how it is being hybridized? What are the different aspects that we need to look at? What are the different features that we need to look at the two different algorithms? Any nomenclature which we have followed in hybridizing them, or in developing a modified version of it, or whatever observations or whatever surveys that we need to conduct, whatever experiments that we need to conduct, there should be a detailed description of this data collection process or measures to ensure the reliability and accuracy of the method as well. So data analysis methods, if you are going for any data analysis methods that have been used in the particular, you must explain the technique to analyze the data, or any statistical analysis has been involved. Say for example, I personally do any parametric test or non-parametric test or non-parametric analysis in my work. So of course, how have I done it? So how do I validate my data? Whether there is any missing data or whether there is any insignificant data in my work. So, and also explaining the limitations of your analysis. I should not use the term limitations, I should call it the simplification of your analysis, right? So better call it simplifications at this stage. Limitations will not scale, but at the conclusion stage, we will refer about some future scope of work. So we will provide any details. Say, for example, if you are doing any work on some animal or human related experimentations, of course, you must write the ethical considerations that has been taken into account. And of course, you must explain how you have ensured the validity and reliability of your study. So what are the measures that has been taken so that your study was reliable, it was a valid conclusion that you are drawing, whether any reliability checks have been carried out, or how it has been peer reviewed. So definitely, once again, be very much clear, be very much concise in your writing, because if you are expanding your work, so of course it is a chance is there, of course, that you write anything wrong in it. So of course it should be preferably be clear and concise. And of course, if you have any headings or subheadings that you want to break up the text into, making it easier for you to read, making easier for the audience to read, for the readers to read, so you can go ahead. Otherwise, we'll prefer different paras to explain any algorithm that we normally design. So mainly your methodology should be well organized, easy to follow, and clearly be written. So because whenever any reviewer, if you are submitting in a peer reviewed journal that is being reviewed by anonymous reviewers, and that person may not be a subject expert in your exact field, there should be some relation to your domain, but not exactly to your field that you are working on. So of course, you must explain a layman. So it is better to use this particular code that you explain to a layman, and then you can find that it is clearly written, it is well organized, it is easy to follow. So if you are doing any research on sciences, if you talk to a technical person and make him understand what you have written, then you are almost a success story is almost there. So of course, when it comes to providing your methodology, of course, next is your experimentations or simulations that you conduct, and how do you present your results. That is also equally important. Presenting your results is an art. Of course, you must present through some tables, some graphs, some figures to present your data effectively. So I'll be having another webinar shortly. I don't remember exactly the date with IGP, where I'll be showcasing on presenting your data, presenting your results, whatever results you have accumulated, and how to present in a beautiful way so that it is presented in a unique way, and how to present it effectively. We have a separate section for that as well. So once again, when you are reporting reporting any data, choose the appropriate format. That how will I get to know that what is the exact format if you are writing it for the first time? Of course, you must go through certain research articles which are very much popular or widely cited. So you can check out from those articles that what kind of a presentation, or what kind of a table, or what kind of a chart they have used to present their data. So of course you can take help from them and collect some qualitative data, use some course or scarps in interviews, or focus on group discussions. So this may be something related to social sciences, or something related to other humanities sort of thing. But mostly choosing an appropriate format is means that how you have collected your data, how what is a suitable format to represent that particular data, whether I'll put it in the form of a table, or whether I'll represent it in the form of a figure or a chart or something of that sort. So depending upon which you present accordingly. Now, how to label or how to give your headings. So your figures and tables that you are using, that must be labeled accurately, and you must provide some clear headings, and of course their descriptions must be provided, and some conclusions, or based on the findings that your data or findings are having, or based on some analysis of your figures or tables, you must provide some adequate conclusions as well. So that is where your discussions is most important. And of course, use a consistent format, use a same format or a style throughout your result section. So this will help your readers to easily compare and interpret your data. So of course, sometimes you are referring to tables, sometimes you are referring. So the readers or even the reviewers can get confused. So a particular template that you must follow sequentially, be consistent with that. Use appropriate statistical measures. Of course, when we are going for some calculations of some measures of central tendency or measures of variability, so we must go that whether we need to calculate the mean or the median of the data, whether we need to calculate the standard deviation, whether we need to perform any non-parametric test involved, or something of that sort. So statistical measures must be appropriate to be used. And of course, provide context, interpret your data by providing context, and of course discussing the implications of your findings. So how your findings can contribute to the existing literature, and what implications they have on practice or any policy related issues. And of course, every time you must consider that what will be your targeting audience, that how you are presenting. Of course, you have to think twice that how do I present data to a scientific audience using some technical terms, or provide some details of the statistical analysis that has been conducted, or something of that sort. But if you are presenting it to a general audience, you preferable to use a simple language and provide clear indications of your findings. So this is how you are supposed to present your data as well. Apart from that, we need to discuss your results and their significance. So definitely it's a must for all the critical analysis that you made about your findings, highlight your significance, and place them in the context of the existing literature. What does it mean? It means that whether you are comparing your work, your own work, with the already existing work, so that you must understand, say for example, you want to increase the efficiency of anything. So of course you must show in some quantitative form some data in form of table or in the form of figures, that you are performing better than the existing ones. So this is also equally important. Critical analysis of your findings, that it's not always that you perform 2 experiments or 3 experiments, all have given best results. It may not be true, but at least you must critically analyze your findings. So this is equally important. You must also report that if any existing work is performing better than your work, of course you must also quote it. Don't hide it. Please do not hide it. So of course, highlight the significance of the study. Definitely it's equally important. So discussions after completion of the result section, it will be around a paragraph or two for you to discuss about your work, your findings, your highlight your significance of your work, and of course report in the context of the already existing reported literature as well. So, a few tips from for results and discussion sections. Of course, you must provide a clear summary of your results. So, this is equally important. You must begin the section with a clear and concise summary of your findings, and this will help the readers to quickly understand that what we have found and what conclusions are being made. Yeah, of course, using tables and figures, as we just now told, that figures and tables people easily correlate to. If you have a pictorial representation, if you have a graph or flow chart or something of that sort that contains some information, if you are using a table that contains some information, people easily correlate and understand that whether your results are performing better than the existing work, or whether some of the existing literature are performing better. And what is the discussion all about? Give clear captions of your figures and tables. Of course, the headings you must choose and must thoroughly check before you are finalizing your manuscript. This is equally important as well. And of course, interpretation of the results in the context of the existing work. Of course, you must discuss your findings. Definitely compare your results with some previous studies, or uh, also you can deliberate upon some of the dissimilarities or some of the similarities that you have linked with your present studies with your existing literature. And of course, where is your finding standing in case you are relating? Say for example, you want to find out in the form of rank that my algorithm or my work is standing rank 2. So some statistical ways of interpreting it is with ranks, that how much is the rank of your present work in terms of the literatures being surveyed. And of course, you must address the research questions. Of course, whatever hypothesis, whatever problem statement that you have chosen, whatever assumptions that you have chosen, whether you have able to address those particular questions or given clarity to each and every question, some hypothesis related to your findings and relate to your work. And of course, answer your questions, and uh, whether it is supporting your hypothesis or whatever you have stated earlier. Of course, discuss your limitations. Here you can discuss your limitations in the discussion sections. You can results and discussion sections, that whatever simplifications that you have assumed, and you can specify some limitations in such a way. You have to be very tactful, and it has to be deliberated in such a way that you get the validity or the generality of your findings is not hampered as well. Apart from that, you provide some recommendations for future purpose or future scope of work. So this is always a very good way, a good notion, a good gesture, I should say, that emphasize upon the limitations so that your future work is created. Maybe that you will be doing it, or maybe that you will be doing it after your completion of your research work, or maybe sometime later you can think of. But of course, giving an idea for the future researchers is an important way of deliberating or providing some implications and the recommendations for your work. And of course, every time I'm mentioning that, be clear and concise. So, of course, you must present your findings with appropriate interpretations. Do not use any technical term that may be difficult for the readers to understand. Of course, if you are explaining it through some technical terms or through some algorithms or something of that sort, be specific about the terms so that the readers say the readers will not again go back to section 2. You should not do like this, that refer section 2 for this type of understanding. So this type of reference must not be there. So of course, where it is having some technical term, where there is some explanation required, you must be very much clear and concise as well, in terms of the language, in terms of the findings, in terms of the interpretations. And of course, it's a good practice, it's a good gesture to involve, at least in the discussion section, uh, some work related to some future scope of work as well. So of course, with this, we can have a very good idea about that results and discussions of your work as well. Now, coming to the concluding remarks, that how do you write your conclusions? Of course, it must summarize your research question or your research objective or your methods, your findings, and provide some adequate idea about the significance of the work. It is also equally important to discuss about the limitations or giving some fair idea about what is the future direction of your research problem. So whatever simplifications or whatever assumptions you have made, whatever limitations you want to talk of of your work, that you can discuss in a positive note. That's why I hate this word using the limitation. I rather call it a simplification of your work, that we have assumed, or the assumptions that you have made, whether those assumptions can be a little bit relaxed, so that you get to a harder problem to solve, and how you approach that particular problem. So you must provide some implications of your future direction of your research as well. So this is a very good way of representing a quality research article, or presenting your quality research article. So, of course, summarizing your findings, just as I told you, that whatever work has been carried out, to give a recap, a brief recap of the key findings that has been presented in the results and discussion sections. Of course, restate your questions or research question or research hypothesis that you have started with, and explain how you have addressed those, and how you have concluded, and how you have interpreted your results. So, of course, you can give a brief summary of your work in the process, and interpretation of results is, of course, important. We prefer, from engineering perspective or from computational part or statistical part, we prefer to interpret the results with some quantification. So what was the percentage improvement that took place, right? So with, in terms of course, your existing work, your terms of existing findings or existing reported literatures. So of course, you must interpret your results, you must summarize your findings, you must restate your research problem and hypothesis, and of course discuss some implications for your future work. Of course, acknowledge your limitations in a way that is beneficial for your paper as well. So of course, you must provide some final statement, and of course be very concise. We prefer to use a single para for writing the concluding remarks. Better not to avoid paragraphs in conclusions sections as well. So it is better to produce some new information or new arguments in such a way that the readers or the audience do not get bored by reading your article. So that is also equally important, that how you want to frame your story building capabilities in a way that you are doing your constructive or some good quality research work as well. So before you are going for submission, we must always revise the proofread or edit your manuscript in such a way that it is free from any grammatical errors. It touches upon all the submission guidelines, and it is well written as well. Prefer to use cover letter along with your manuscript submission. So of course, there are some things that has to be there that we must follow before we are revisiting your manuscript. So you, before you start revising, take a break of from your manuscript, make some distance from your writing, and help you to approach with fresh eyes. So of course, that's why we find that you better read it aloud, or you must get it read by your collaborators or your supervisors or something of that sort. If it is read by fresh eyes, of course, mistakes are easily being caught. So any spell check, any grammar related issues, should be read, because we are not a native English speakers. So of course we can have a chance of making some mistakes which may be very silly, but some check must be carried out, some grammatical mistakes must be removed from the manuscript in order to identify and make it a completely fresh or revised manuscript, correct in all form. So, another important thing is that focus on one particular issue at a time. That, say, for example, when you are revising your manuscript, the focus is on one at a time. So, once you're looking at grammatical errors, you must always look at the grammatical errors. Then you go into the sentence construction, clarity, any technical issues, or any other things that you need to emphasize, some diagrams that you forgot to place in the right place or something of that sort. So proofreading should be done in such a way that it should be absolutely thorough, and you can ask your friend, your colleague, to review your manuscript, and you can if you have any supervisors, definitely you can talk to your collaborators or supervisors as well for any other suggestions for further improvement. Best thing is to do it with a colleague and or a friend of yours who is working in the same domain or something of that sort, so that they can also give you some constructive feedback as well. Apart from that, formatting must be checked. Manuscript is written properly, including headings, margins, and all those citations that are ensured. And of course, it must fulfill the requirements of the journal and the publication that you are submitting to. So of course, if there is any clarity required, definitely you can go for editing and clearing and concising it, and remove any unnecessary words or phrases that are there. Of course, you must use some softwares to do Grammarly check. Grammarly is another software for any grammatical mistakes that are to be checked. Sometimes they are freely available. Some tools are available free of cost, but mostly if your institute or if your university is offering the license version, do take the license version to get maximum benefit out of it, to remove all the spelling mistakes and all the spell checks or grammatical, or sometimes where to use comma, where to use semicolon or something of that sort. Uh, so these sort of mistakes can be clarified very quickly. Now, coming to the final stages of your submission, once you go through completion or revising and editing your manuscript to the level that you are satisfied, after that you go for the submission process, and now go through the appropriate online system following certain submission guidelines. So it will take several weeks or months even to receive feedback from the editors or reviewers. So you have to be very patient, and the online system you'll be getting the information that whether it has passed through the quality check, it has passed through the initial review check, and then it has gone to the reviewers, and whether it's um, uh, reviewers have given you the comments or something of that sort. So depending upon the different platforms or the different types of editorial managers that people are the journals are following, depending upon that, of course you'll get feedback from the reviewers. Of course, you have to address the reviewer comments as well to the satisfaction of the reviewer, and of course get it published finally. Now, some submission tips: that first of all, it's preferable to choose a right journal or an appropriate journal that is good fit for your research. So preferably, so you must spend time on going through the aim and scope of the journal and see that whether your research aligns with the journal's aim and scope of work. Of course, follow certain submission guidelines. Carefully read and follow certain guidelines provided by the journal. This may include certain formatting requirements, some word count limits, some specific sections that has to be included for a particular journal. So you must go through the submission guidelines thoroughly, and you are ensuring that your manuscript is well written, free from mistakes, clearly structured, proofread and edited as per to your satisfaction, or if there are multiple authors, everyone has gone through it. If a colleague or a friend is involved, or your supervisor is involved, so of course the supervisor has given adequate check to ensure the quality of your manuscript. Of course, I'm mentioning over here a very small note that you must include a cover letter that introduces your manuscript and explains why it is a good fit to the journal. So of course, provide some relevant background information about yourself and your research and your domain of work, and of course what is the research objective that you have considered, and what is the novelty for which you are targeting this particular journal to publish your manuscript. And of course, you must choose appropriate reviewers. Of course, if there is a choice to suggest some names of the potential reviewers. So if you have knowledge about the domain experts, you must give. Of course, you may consult your colleague or friend or even your supervisor to be fair and provide a thorough review regarding the choice of reviewers. If you are asked to, some journals, of course, provide some suggestions from your side to give some names of the potential reviewers. It is better to be giving impartially the reviewer list and 3 to 5 reviewers, those who are domain experts or those who are working in that same area of your research. Apart from that, I think the review work can take several months. So of course you have to be very patient, and don't be afraid to follow up with the journal. And of course, if you haven't received any response after a reasonable amount of time, you can also inquire to the editorial office as well. And of course, you must respond to the reviewers' comments once your manuscript is having some revisions. If some suggestions have been there with respect to the reviewers, so you should consider the reviewers' comments, and you should revise your manuscript accordingly based on the comments on the reviewers. And be thorough in your responses. Make sure that you address each and every concern of the reviewer. So of course, that will lead to acceptance of your paper. And finally, we are concluding our today's discussion that it is definitely a time-consuming process. It's a complex process. You have to give many iterations to make your chances of selection. And of course, it is not a very easy job. Just as I'm telling you, within half an hour or 1 hour's discussion, that it is so easy as it looks. But several times you'll find that this Web of Science journals or Scopus Index journals are only having acceptance rate of 15 to 20%. So of course, if you are submitting 5 papers, of course there is a chance that 1 paper or 2 paper might go into the review process, and you are expecting it to be accepted. So of course, you must ensure that you must have the quality of your work, and you must choose an effective research problem, for which the literature review must be thorough, and you must be able to identify the gaps in the study as well. So you should provide a clear and concise approach to your abstract. You must prepare a well-structured format, or write the introduction. You must describe your methodology in details, report your findings accurately with some tables and figures, discuss your results, discuss the significance of your work, and provide adequate conclusion points, and of course, give some implications for future study of your work. So revise, proofread, edit your manuscript, and finally you are able to succeed for submitting a manuscript. So this is all from my side, I think. Thank you so much, IGP, once again, to give us an opportunity to talk, and on a especially relevant topic. So I hope that the participants will be eager with some questions for me. Over to you, IGP.
Thank you so much, sir, for your presentation, which can impact our knowledge seekers surely. After your presentation, our knowledge seekers can learn something new, which was our only intention: learn and grow together, IHP knowledge seekers. Once again, thank you so much, dear sir, for your presentation. Now, sir, it's time for the question answer part, which is the one more valuable part of our webinar. Honorable sir, please stay with us. After a short video, we will be come back in our session part 2, which is the question answer part.
Okay, fine.
Dear IGP knowledge seekers, please ask your question in the comment box as much as you want to know from our speaker. Thank you. After question answer, we have webinar certification and online quiz competition. Thank you. Sir, after a short video, we will be start our quiz session.
Okay, fine.
Please stay with us.
Sure.
Welcome back, sir.
Yes, please.
So our first question from Kumrana: how to buy cloning website?
Actually, we were not talking about cloning and all those things because you get the list of predatory journals, and of course, there are fake websites. Of course, you must go through the description or the list of the journals. But of course, the cloning journals that you are talking about, they make clones of everything, and preferable you go through the website of the actual journal homepage, so where you can get adequate information about the journal. Say for example, if you are having seeing any fake journal and if you are comparing it with the original journal, of course the aim and scope and the wave of science indexing must not match. Say for example, if there is a journal of plant biotechnology and if you find that it is accepting articles of engineering and making the aim and scope of the journal look that it is accepting papers on engineering and technology, so of course you must have a doubt. So there is no such procedure, but of course you can google it and find out the names of the predatory journals or the fake journals that are there in the market as well. So there are plenty of cloning taking place. So of course it is also impossible for us, but preferably if you find any journal in wave of science indexing or scopus indexing, you must be relaxed for that. But of course you must identify that whether the actual website is containing any information regarding the article processing fee or something of that sort. So if it does not coincide with the original journal list, that it is not open access or it is not accepting article processing fees, of course, we don't prefer to look at. So of course there are plenty of sites to look at. These fake journals or cloning sites are also available. So you can have a look at the Google and type the name. You can get in the immediately the Predator journal list as well.
Thank you, sir, for your answer. Sir, our next question from Tarabas was if I yield the data analysis in 2023, can I still send it for publication in 2024?
Of course, it depends upon the data analysis that you are doing. Say, for example, if you are working on some disease that is outspread, or say, for example, if you are talking about COVID, which we have come across. So, of course, if that particular data is old enough, or that particular analysis that you are conducting is old enough, and some new information is available about your data analysis, so of course we cannot publish it in 2024. But normally it takes time. Say for example, if you have submitted in 2023, if it is being reviewed and you get 7 8 months in the review process and it get published in 2024, not an issue, absolutely. So of course it depends upon the data, on the type of the data that you are analyzing. So if it's a data where new information is available, of course you are not eligible to publish it in 2024. If it's under review process or if you have submitted the work, so of course it can be considered.
Thank you, sir, for your answer. And our next question from Litrim Barha. Is it acceptable to include research data in a review to elaborate a point? Are there any limits to how far this can go?
Of course, you must present your research data if you do not want to disclose initially, and if any reviewer asks for any research data, we have different journals for publishing. There are several open access journals, of course, with charges, where you can publish your research data. And if you want to include any database, of course, you can quote that database from where you have taken the data and you want to represent your work. So it depends. Of course, it depends upon the type of research data that you are talking about. If you are more elaborative, I can be more elaborative with my answer as well. But sometimes we present and we make suitable tables or figures to hide our data as well. So at that time, of course, it depends upon the reviewer to access and reviewer to comment on that. And if he wants, you can put it in the supplementary material as well. If you want to add any research data to your work, you can put it in the form of supplementary materials. You can put it in the form of appendix if it is in the format of the journal. Absolutely up to you that how do you present or how do you showcase your data. Any other questions?
Thank you, sir. Dear IGP knowledge seekers, please ask your question. Sir,
Yes, please.
you covered full topic properly. You covered full topic properly. So here is no more question.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you once again, IGP, for giving me another opportunity to speak on one of the important areas that we must think of research before we are going to publish our first research article. Definitely, it's a way forward for the listeners, for the participants who have actively participated and put forward their questions. My best wishes for all the audiences.
Thank you so much, Honorable Sir, for your time in IGP. We have
Welcome.
learned a lot from you with a new topic. It will add some value to our day-to-day activity along with our academic and professional growth. Honorable Sir, hope to you see with a new topic and a new date. Thank you, sir. Take care.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night, sir. Thank you for IGP knowledge seekers. It's time for the webinar certification process, the most attractive and powerful part of our regular webinar. After a short video, we will start our webinar certification. After webinar certification, we have an online quiz competition and quiz certification. Thank you. Today's our some technical problems we cannot share our certificate code. We provide our certificate code in a short time. Thank you. Today's problems we cannot share our certificate code. We provide our certificate code in a short time. Thank you. Dear IGB knowledge seekers, it's time for the most engaging part of this webinar, which is an online quiz competition, which is our regular webinar activity. Now time for the online quiz competition. To join the online quiz competition properly, please follow my instruction carefully. To join the online quiz competition properly, please follow my instruction carefully. First of all, you have to go to .com, then find today's quiz or scan this QR code for direct joining, and the code is global IGP, and the code is global IG. Please join in Slido with code. After a short video, we will start our quiz session. Please enjoy your quiz session. Please join Slido with code and the code is global IGP. Please join Slido with code and the code is global IGP. 25 people join with us. Let's start. Our first question: who can submit a article for publication, a paper review, journal? First option is anyone, and second option is individuals affiliated with a university or institute. Anyone is the right answer, and 37% people are right. Moving to the next question, and our second long question is what should you do before you begin writing for a journal? First option is research the publication theme and audience, and second option is study preview publication for figure one what style to write in. কেন? First option is the right answer, and 37% people are right. Moving to the next question, and our third known question is writing in next caption from a journal article requirement. First option is surname, year of publication, some patients. First option is the right answer, and 100% people are right. Moving to the next question, and our fourth known question is to locate a journal article. You could do the following. First option is find the journal in the library, and second option is request the article. First option is the right answer, and 77% people are right. Moving to the next question, and our fifth known question is summarization. An article means to look for the article propose and findings, and second option is others reference treated by authors. First option is the right answer, and 93% people are right. Moving to the next question, and our sixth known question is what should you move in before submission to a EFCG or any other journal? First option is the right answer, and 43% people are right. Moving to the next question, and our seventh known question is which of the following would be too vague for academic writing? Blue and yellow is the right answer, and 57% people are right. Moving to the next question, and our eighth known question is: how should you format the title of an article published in a scholarly journal? Italics and in equates. Second option is the right answer. Only 20% people are right. Moving to the next question, and our ninth known question is 13. What is not a valid type of evidence for academic writing? Objective data and Wikipedia entry. Wikipedia entry is the right answer, and 93% people are right. Moving to the next question, and our final question in this session is writing. First option is has universal conventions, and second option is the contextual specific. Second option is the right answer. Congratulations, top 10 winners. Congratulations to our webinar online quiz competition winners, top 10. Congratulations again. Slide will take a few minutes of finalizing the result, and after that, we will issue our online quiz competition certificate on our official Facebook page and group, Institute of Global Professionals. At the end moment of our session, we can say properly fits your skill. Never stop learning because life never stop teaching us. Be happy and stay safe. See you again and again. We want your participation in every program. If you want to live a happy life, tie it to a goal, not to people or things. Albert Einstein. Before I say or hit the end like button, again wants to thanks to all IGP knowledge seekers for your active participation as always. See you again in the next session. Thank you.